right, let's run it up. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. Chase Sr. here with you, and no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. It is a beautiful Thursday, May 1st, as we embark on a new month, and I hope everybody out there is getting set and ready to have a fantastic weekend. We have a great show coming your way. I want to take a look at the top free agents left who the 49ers can sign in the aftermath of the 2025 NFL Draft. And a couple of days ago, earlier this week, the Niners tapped into the free agency pool. And for those of you who follow the league closely, you've probably noticed and realized that some players have signed with teams this week after the draft, and that's because those signings don't count against the compensatory pick formula. And so there are some notable names still left on the free agency market who are going to get signed over the next few months in the lead up to the start of training camp, and a lot of teams get that underway in July or early August. In San Francisco earlier this week, addressing a huge need on this football team in signing offensive tackle DJ Humphries. It's a pretty intriguing pickup for San Francisco because they badly needed offensive line depth, and the backup offensive tackle spot was a massive unknown for San Francisco because they didn't do anything to address that spot in the NFL draft, and they didn't take any young tackles in this draft class, which really irked me. But for Humphries, a very well-accomplished player, multi-team captain for the Arizona Cardinals. He did tear his ACL in December of 2023. Cardinals let him go. He signed with the Chiefs last year. It was kind of a disaster. Only played 92 snaps, did not play particularly well. And then he ended up getting replaced by Joe Thuney because he was a revolving door trying to block the blind side of Patrick Mahomes. He clearly wasn't 100%. Thuney is traditionally a very good guard. Chiefs slide him out to left tackle, and he was serviceable for a little while and played pretty well up until the Super Bowl where he got exposed because he was playing out of position. Humphries is 31 years old. He's been in the league for a decade. 2015 first-round pick, 24th overall out of Florida, was a Pro Bowler in 2021, spent his entire career with Arizona up until the 2023 season. So a lot of you Niner fans probably familiar with him as a player because he's obviously inside the NFC West. He has primarily played left tackle in his NFL career. The only time he played right tackle was when he was a young player in year 2. And so for a lot of you wondering if he's going to replace Colton McKivitz, who last year did improve, made some strides after what was a very porous 2023 season, I don't think this is an acquisition to replace Colton McKivitz. I think the Niners really like him there from a play style standpoint, production standpoint, and of course, the financials of him not being that expensive. McKivitz is going into the final year of his deal, but Humphries is a player who can be your backup swing tackle, and the Niners badly needed that. So with that, I do ask you this to ramp up today's show. Who do you think should start at right tackle? Because you can make the argument Humphries is the third best offensive lineman on this team when healthy, after Trent Williams and Dominic Pooney. So type CM for McKivitz, DJ for DJ Humphries. Let me know. The Niners, of course, did address corner in the NFL draft, but Asante Samuel Jr. is still somehow available and hasn't signed with the team in free agency. This is really confusing to me because he's still a young player. He's been highly productive. Obviously, he comes from NFL bloodlines. His father was Asante Samuel Sr., and Samuel Jr. has played very good football to start his career since being a second-round pick in the 2021 NFL Draft coming out of Florida State. Prior to him getting injured last year when he only played 4 games and missed a lot of time due to a shoulder injury, he had double-digit pass breakups every single season his first 3 years. 11-11 his first 2 seasons, and then 13 in year 3. He only plays 4 games last year, had some stinger issues with that shoulder, and for a corner, that's a little bit of a concern, and maybe teams are concerned about the risk of re-injuring that shoulder, but for the ball skills that he has, the bloodlines that he has, the production that we've seen, and the fact that Asante Samuel Jr. is still a very young player, I'm not sure in an exploding cornerback market how he has not been signed yet. He's going to be 26 years old on October 3rd, has 6 career picks as well. If the Niners want to move Deommodore Lenoir inside or keep him outside and try Samuel Jr. along the inside because they might not think that Upton Stout is ready, then Asante Samuel Jr. is a player who I would explore. He's primarily been an outside corner up to this point. After the injury to Malik Mustafa, which we'll talk about here in just a moment, does the safety position become a need for San Francisco? In free agency, the Niners did sign Jason Pinnock. They signed Richie Grant. They then drafted a safety nickel hybrid in Marquise Siegel out of Kansas State. But Justin Simmons is a four-time second-team All-Pro safety who's obviously on the back 9 of his career. But I still think he could play at a very high level. And unfortunate news in the aftermath of the NFL draft, we found out that Malik Mustafa, as he's going into year 2, after a really impressive rookie season when he was a 4th-round pick out of Wake Forest and played so well, brought a level of physicality to this defense that was very fun to watch, re-injured the ACL that he had surgery on back when he was in college at Wake Forest in 2022. This happened in the season finale against the Arizona Cardinals in the second quarter when he took a cleat to the knee. The Niners thought that he was going to be fine, and then an MRI after the season wrapped up showed that the graft that was in that knee was damaged. And so Mustafa had to get surgery. He's not expected to be back for the start of the season. He called reports saying that he wasn't going to be back until the middle portion of the season crazy, and hopefully he's able to come back sooner rather than later. But with Mustafa, who was slated to be the starter alongside Jair Brown, set to miss some time, and he can't rejoin this team for a little while, do you look at a player like Justin Simmons? Do you look at a player like Julian Blackmon of the Indianapolis Colts? Those are 2 safety options out there in free agency. I would side with Simmons, has more of a pedigree, has more of an impressive resume. Last year, the PFF numbers weren't great, but he did some good things. 7 pass breakups, 2 picks. He's usually been so good in coverage. Wasn't necessarily the case last year. Keep in mind, though, that the Falcons' defensive coordinator got fired after 1 year. The Falcons could not generate a pass rush. They were last in the league in sack percentage and overall sacks. And because of that, the back end really suffered. And for the first time in his career since he entered the league a long while ago, after getting drafted out of Boston College, Simmons was in a new defense. And he even said to Kay Adams everything was new, and it seemed as though he struggled to pick those things up. But Simmons, again, a 4-time second-team All-Pro, been one of the top safeties in the National Football League for a very long time. You add him to your roster, you are really solidifying that third level. And as recently as 2023, 2022, 2021, he's been playing excellent football. A traditional center field safety who can make a lot of plays on the ball. So Justin Simmons and Julian Blackmon, the safeties available if the Niners feel as though they need to address that position after the Mustafa injury. And then there's Za'Darius Smith. Za'Darius Smith at this point of his career will be a rotational defensive end and pass rusher. And he can be a scheme fit for San Francisco because in parts of the last 2 years, he played for the Cleveland Browns. And Jim Schwartz, the Browns defensive coordinator who has had Kyle Shanahan's number, has always run an iteration of the wide 9. The Niners run the wide 9. He was with Cleveland at the start of last year and then went to Detroit, especially after the Lions needed some pass rushing help after the Aiden Hutchinson season-ending injury. He did have 9 total sacks combined between those 2 teams, 5.5 in 2023, but double digits in 2022 and the year before that he actually played in 2020 with 12.5. The quarterback hit number is pretty good. The pressure number is good. So a player who is in the twilight of his respective career. But the Niners, as we know, going into the draft, they had multiple needs at defensive end and defensive tackle. And so they could still use pass rushers there, especially because we don't know what the status of Drake Jackson is, Who is a free agent that you want the Niners to sign? Drop me a name or names down below in the comment section. A lot of people have asked me about Nick Chubb. Chase, should the Niners bring in Nick Chubb? I have no interest in a running back who's older, who's been injured a lot. And it's not like he's been injured a lot as far as tiny injuries. He has had some very severe injuries, and he doesn't make sense for the Niners to bring in. So I wanted to address that question that a lot of people have asked me on X and Instagram. If you want a Niners jersey, by the way, check them out. Whole stable of jerseys available. Thanks to our friends at Fanatics. Go to chatsports.com/49jersey. You can get a Michael Williams jersey. You can get current players, former players. You can get authentic jerseys or replicas, all types of different sizes, men, women, kids, home, away, throwback jerseys as well. We're going to put that link down below in the comments section and in the show notes. You use that link, Fanatics will know that Chat Sports, yours truly, and the 49ers Report sent you. It's chatsports.com/49jersey. Get your Niners jerseys today so that you can get geared up for the start of the 2025 season. To the cornerback spot, a player who's different than the aforementioned Asante Samuel Jr., and that is Rasul Douglas. He's ended up being a pretty good player. Multiple stops in his NFL career. You want to use him mostly in the slot because he's never had good range or blazing speed, but he does bring a level of physicality to the table that I think is enticing. He's a good tackler, 58 last year. He'll make plays against the run, 5 TFLs. He is almost in that safety build at that cornerback position, 5 pass breakups, 0 interceptions last year. In coverage, that's never been his strong suit. Targeted 53 times last year, gave up 39 catches for 452 yards. He is a player that you want to keep in the slot, and you can get creative with how you use him. But he has been able to make some highly impactful plays throughout his career, and he's another one of those DBs who has a knack for making plays on the football. And out of that slot spot, he'll body up a tight end. He'll get physical with a running back coming out of the backfield. He'll jam you at the line. I just like the attitude that he plays with. And how about those pass breakup numbers from 2021 through 2023? 13, 13, 14, and good interception numbers too. 5, 4, and 5 during that span. He, of course, as you see the picture, spent time with the Buffalo Bills last year. If the Niners want to target some offensive line depth, there are some accomplished and experienced players who are still out there who have not signed with teams. One of them is Dalton Risner. Prior to last year in his NFL career, since being a second-round pick a few years ago by the Denver Broncos, he played last year with the Minnesota Vikings. He had never played less than 14 games in a season. Last year, he played 10. The previous time spent with the Denver Broncos, he was a starter. Last year with Minnesota, kind of that spot offensive lineman. At this point, I think it's been shown that he's not a starting caliber offensive lineman in the league, but as a backup, he's played a lot, and if you have to plug him in there, you could certainly do worse. And offensive line depth, I still believe, is a question mark on this football team. Overall PFF grade last year on 611 snaps of 68.1. A pass blocking grade, you like to see that at 76.1, and a run blocking grade of 58.8. While those numbers aren't great, and sometimes it's hard to gauge how good an offensive lineman is judging on the PFF grades, there are some other good numbers there. The 1 sack allowed, the 2 quarterback hits allowed, no penalties, but he did give up 18 hurries. And then there's Brandon Scherff, who was a 5 or 6-time Pro Bowler with the Washington Redskins and Commanders after he was taken in the first round to start his career. He spent the last few years with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Last year, a lot of snaps played, more than 1,000. And in trying to protect Trevor Lawrence, there were some good moments, there were some bad moments. Overall PFF grade of 64.7, pass blocking grade in the green, though, of 74.5. Run blocking grade, he struggled in that regard, 57.3. No sacks allowed for him. Only 2 penalties, 16 hurries. He is about 32 years old right now, highly experienced, very well accomplished player who, again, would add depth to this Niners interior offensive line. If you want to take a chance on a player who was a former first-round pick out of Alabama in Jedrick Wills, who had an up-and-down career with the Cleveland Browns, they thought that he was going to be one of the next great tackles in this league. It hasn't panned out. Maybe you sign him. You try to develop him. You get his body right. You get his confidence rehabbed. And honestly, outside of DJ Humphries, he would be one of the top backup offensive tackles on this team, and it wouldn't even be close. You have Israel Gutierrez, Austin Pleasance, and Isaac Alarcon. I know Pleasance played okay last year after the Niners picked him up off the scrap heap, but with Wills, you know there's something to work with there. And it just didn't work out for Cleveland. It ended up kind of being a disaster as his career progressed. Last year, did not play all that much. Injuries have also been a problem for him. But at Alabama, he was a dog. Athletic, very powerful. That's why he was a first-round pick. Overall PFF grade of 52.9 last year, 63.6 on the pass blocking, 51.6 on the run blocking. And this is what you don't want to see. Only played 245 snaps, yet gave up 3 sacks, 3 hits, 5 hurries, and 7 penalties. At that offensive tackle spot, sometimes it takes players a little while to find their groove. Wills hasn't found it yet, but with some quality coaching, there was a reason why he was a first-round pick. Can the Niners find a way to maximize that? Again, you're not asking him to start. You're taking a chance on a player and hoping that it can work out, and you can develop him for a cheap price tag as a backup offensive tackle, which is something that you need on this roster currently. And offensive line problems, not what you want when you're about to pay your quarterback $50+ million. Whenever the Niners make a move, I always have you covered. That's why you hit that sub button and subscribe to us here on the San Francisco 49ers Report.